the competition or the evaluation will start in end of January, if I don't mistaken. And yes, I think this meeting is important because we see like a lot of questions in Slack and by email that ask us some specifications. And Shamsuddin, you can go through it and try to address the main pointers. If you have some questions remained, you can ask at the end. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Said. And so, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So, as Said said, basically we receive a lot of questions, people asking us, how to, which language what can we do? So we felt that it's a good idea to just call a brief meeting, Q&A, to just interact and answer and attempt some questions. So basically, if you look at it, we're gonna look at an overview of the AfriSenti, then a brief demo of submission, and then Q&A. So the submission demo will be like how to submit the format, because a lot of people do submission and it failed. We saw it from the back end. People were trying to submit, but it fails to submit. So we will do a brief demo about that. For people, a lot of our community from Africa, basically, they were not really aware of SAMEBL competition. So they were aware of Kagol, Zindi, and, a lot of people that, participate in SAMEBL know what is SAMEBL, but our community, African community, don't really know what SAMEBL. So general sense, SAMEBL is just kind of competition. Unlike Kagol, SAMEBL is a competition, but academic competition that try to, push state of the art for, semantic analysis in, and different kind of shared other tasks. So SAMEBL started since '98, you can see. Unfortunately, to date, there isn't any kind of available, African languages that have been involved in this shared tag. So this is the first time that SAMEBL competition focus only on African languages, which is also on sentiment analysis. So we have different kind of tasks, tasks A, B, and C, and we have in total 18 languages. We have monolingual, which have 15 tracks. We have multilinguals, 2 tracks. We have zero shot, which is 1. Zero shot, we have also 2 tracks, sorry. And, for the task A, B, C, you can choose any one you want. If you want to participate in task A or task B or task C, you can choose any. Also in task A, we have 15 tracks. You can choose track 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Because somebody was asking also, can I choose only few or subtracts that, they are only for my language? Yes, of course, you can choose any. Multilingual, we have 1 track. Sorry, it's 1 track. Is zero shot, that is 2 tracks. So that's it. And finally, the workshop will be in, ACL events anywhere. Not yet known, but we'll let you know when it happens. So why participate? So as we said, this is the first time African languages have been involved in the, SAMEBL competition. So people, not only African, anywhere you are, you can participate just to promote research in African languages. And, for people, students, because we encourage not only, researchers, but we encourage also students, bachelor, masters, this encourage, opportunity for them to just start getting started, write their paper, some stuff. So this is just an opportunity for them to, publish their work and, the result, the analysis they do. And we, of course, have a prize to win because we want to encourage, research in low resource African languages. And we also have Best Paper Award. So what are the prizes we have? So we have 3 different kind of prizes. So as this task shared focus on African languages. So we have African League, where at least a team, we have 1 African person. So that's called African League. We have Masters and Undergraduate League. This is encourage, not only PhD, but also undergrad and master student to participate in this shared task. And we have Worldwide League, anybody from anywhere can participate to have. So this is basically about the we have a lot of details about the, how to participate, the submission format. Everything is details in the page. You can consult that. We have the, different way to communicate with us in the Slack, in the Google group, everything. So how to participate, we all know this. I already said you can select any one of the tasks, subtasks, whether task A, task B, or task C. and, form a team, a single person, multiple people, just form a team and register the competition website. So we have two different kind of phases. We have development phase, then we have, evaluation phase. So now what is development phase? In development phase, we release the training set and dev sets, where people will try to develop their system, try to perfect their system, and you can submit any number you like. I think we have at least the cap is 1,000, so you can submit as much as possible to develop your perfect system. And in January 20, we're gonna have evaluation period where we release only the test set. And in this is where we will have like a limited amount, a limited fees for the evaluation, where we have, I think, 5 days that will have a window for people to try their system on the test set. And then finally, in February, I think, or March, you submit your system discussion paper, and anyone that participates, your team will be given another team paper to, do review. So at the end of the day, all the people that submit a paper in the shared task will be given a single paper from another team to review. So we're gonna have, review the papers among ourselves. And, finally, we need to attend the workshop. So this is, the next deadline we have, which is evaluation starting 20 January, and evaluation in 31st January. Hopefully we have a windows of 10 days right now. We don't know if we will change because the evaluation, windows is very small. Maybe 5 will change it later. So these are the organizers here. We have a lot of organizers from Africa and other collaborators, and thanks for all of them that works together to see these shared tasks become live. And at this moment, we have a lot of people that I was surprised that we have only a lot of people that register for the shared task. Right now, we have about 170 people. So we have a lot of sign up, about 100 people. We don't know whether at the end they will submit a system, but at this point in time, we have about 170, 73, I think, yeah. Okay, so that's what I got. So now it's time for question and any other thing. Yeah. And Najma, Saeed, Idris, if you have any other thing you can add.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I think one more maybe clarification is you can participate as individual, or you can also team up with your lab, or even someone from different university, from different lab. So we don't mind, but make sure like if you participate in a group, it should be better like you stay in one group, so that it will be better later especially for the competition. To which group you belong.
Okay, thank you. All right, Sana has a question. Go on. We cannot hear you, Sana. We cannot hear you.
Now?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you for this session. I have a question. In the slides, you mentioned that each team can participate in one task.
No, oh no, okay, let me go back.
Okay, just go back. Yeah, select one of 3 tasks. So we should only select one task.
Oh, okay. No, so this is oversight, is there in the website. Select one or all of the tasks. You can select all, okay, or you can select at least one.
Okay.
So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any question?
Sorry, I have just one question about the collection.
Okay, cool. Go on.
So for the test collection, it is different between a validation collection and test collection?
What do you mean? Different?
It means it is, for me, it's detection opinion in Algerian polarity. So I have two collection, train and validation. And my question is if it is the same collection for the test. I mean, it is validation and test is the same terms or
Okay.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe Shamsuddin, you can add, in the test, you will not have the label. So we just give you a text,
yes.
and then we hold the labels, and the system will
Yes.
yeah.
But the test, is it different between the validation?
Yeah, it is totally different. So
Yes.
validation is,
Yes, I
you
know.
have the validation now. During the training, you can use it as much as you like to optimize your model. But the
Okay.
test, it will be used as the end once you have the model. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe
but-
she
but
meant
the-
like the tested from the same distribution or not.
Yes,
Maybe.
that's because when we make a
Yeah.
model, they can work at validation test, but validation, but in test they have a different result. So my question, if it is the test and validation is
Yeah, from the same distribution or not.
yes, for the same distribution of 10, yes.
Yeah, at least it will be from Twitter. The time and the strategy will be the same. So we use the same strategies that we use for the development set. But the time, maybe it will be a different time. Otherwise, it will be from one source, from Twitter, the same strategy like we.
Donc the same strategy. Okay. So
Yeah.
if I have F measure with validation, I have the probably the same score in.
Yeah, we don't know. That we don't know.
Okay. I have just.
There is a question.
Yeah.
So sorry, I have just a second question about the I forgot the name of with in English. It is the opinion sarcasm or not?
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm, yes.
Yeah. So what do you mean by that? Is there sarcasm in the data? You mean?
Yes, yes.
It's complicated. So
Because I read it because I know Arabic.
yeah.
I read it. And it's difficult to classify in positive.
Yeah, there are some.
My question, if there is a sarcasm for that.
It has been. So if you're talking about the Algerian data,
Yes.
you're specifically talking about the Algerian data, right?
Yes, I just read
we did avoid sarcasm and irony and all that, but it's kind of very hard to do that on Twitter specifically. So in some cases, there are some cases like that, but they do have a label, and we made sure that we had like a majority vote. So for the very complicated cases, we did not keep them actually, because we just want to have a sentiment analysis task.
Okay.
So in some cases, yes, it exists, but then they do have a label. They do have a positive or negative label or neutral label.
Okay.
Okay.
And the last question. The F measure of the all participants, it is normally or when we can't see the result of other participants. It is question.
Yeah. So basically, we had a discussion, with the task organizers that we release the participants.
I have problem with my.
Can you hear us? Hello. So maybe we can come back to your question after, if you have a sound audible system. Let me go to the next, Cade. Cade Edison.
Yeah, thank you. So you mentioned there'd been a lot of submission errors so far, I guess, on Codalab. And I was just curious, are there common mistakes being made, like pitfalls to make sure to avoid in a submission that, you know, to have a clean submission without errors?
Yeah, so basically, I think what people had problem with is in the submissions. Maybe we stated, we wrote everything clearly how the format for the file to be submitted is. So people, when they have a wrong format, they try to submit, they will definitely have, you know, an error. So in dealing with that, I think, okay, let me think. So can you see my page, my screen? Okay, so I think competition. So submission format. So we details the format for submission. And in fact, today I added a sample of submission file in Hausa, which one can really see what is a format so that one can submit without any issues. So the issue we received, we deal with basically were format issues that people don't really have the right format to submit the files. And, you know, we address that, yeah. And also another thing we had, some people find it difficult to submit. So we made mention, for example, if we want to participate, you come to participate, submit, you know, when you come to submit results, you will be able to see all these tasks. So here we are now in development phase. We can see development. Now, when we come to, you know, test set, which is in January here. So let's assume I want to submit a task for Hausa development set. I need to first click on Hausa. So this is where people find it difficult. I need to first click on Hausa to select the language you want to submit the result. Then you click here, submit. The moment you click here, it will open a tab for you to select, you know, a zip file you have already. So here I have a zip file from my computer, and now you can see it's saying submitting, you know. While it's saying submitting, one can click refresh and you see submitted. It means, you know, submitted. Now, you know, one can now see his results, view detailed results. So when, it hasn't finished submitting, when it finishes, you click view results, and now one can see the results here. So these are the two things people find it difficult, how to submit, and also, you know, and when somebody sees a fail, then it failed, and when everything finished, you see finish, and here you'll be able to see your result. And now you can see for the previous one, people can see the result here. When you see, so everything is here, the previous one. So this is the one of the problem we have. So people need to click the result, the language they want to submit, and now come and select submit, and now they select the, yeah. So I don't know if, you know, yeah.
No, that's very helpful. And you mentioned you're submitting a zip file.
Mm-hmm.
Is there just one file within the zip file, or are there multiple files?
So if I want to submit for Amharic, I need to click Amharic and submit only Amharic file.
Okay, and it's a single file that's
Yes.
been compressed into a zip file.
Exactly.
Because
so
if you submitted a file without having it as a zip file, it would fail. Exactly.
Okay. So this is the problem. Yeah. So if you come here in the, you know, submission format, you know, here, if we go to GitHub, we have the file, which is zip file, you know, which is zip file. So people can, you know, try to see. Yeah. So that's it.
Right. Very good. Thank you.
All right. Sana.
Yes, I have first I want to comment about the submission.
Mm-hmm.
I have some experience from the Codalab with Mac user. So if you compress the file using your Mac, then you will get a lot of fail submissions. So what I found it helpful just to compress the file using online website, just to upload the file, compress it, and download it, then all my submission was successful. But if I compress the file using my own MacBook, then I get a lot of fail submissions. And to the question, yeah, I have a question about the development set. When the test period starts, will we get the labels for the development set or not?
No, I think, right, Said, the development piece, when are we releasing the level for development? Is it after the competition or is it after the development phase has passed and we are in test set?
You mean the
levels,
right?
Yeah. Right now for development set, we haven't released the levels. We only release the the tweets.
So I think it will be nice after the competition, right?
Yeah,
because sometimes with some competition that they also provide the labels for the in the development, so we can use it for training more or maybe just for if you don't have an answer now, then you can discuss and maybe update us.
yeah, that makes sense.
We will do that.
Yeah, okay, Sophie.
Thank you.
Sophie.
Yes, hello. So I have a quick question first about the evaluation metric. So I'm curious about if which metric is used for the ranking. So FE score or precision or recall, or what's the evaluation, what's the ranking based on?
I think also, in the competition website, we have evaluation. So if you look at the evaluation, we made it, we are using the metrics, precision, recall, and F1 score, but ultimately the ranking will be based on a macro F1 score. So the ranking for the final ranking of the participant, it will be this one. Yeah. And you can look at it. Yeah, you can look at it on the GitHub page, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see. Thank you. And another question is about in the task E multilingual settings. So is there any language information given for the text set? Because now it's a label, so the ID is just the multilingual and the ID number. So, but sometimes some multilingual model also needs a language information of these traits. So, will that be given for the text set or?
Right now we just give the multilingual. There is no level for this language or that. But ultimately, one can bootstrap from the task A, because all this data from task B were from task A. So if you want to do, what I mean.
Yeah, I know. So now the training data, so the task A, task B data is the same, just with different labels, different ID, but at the test time is also the same, right? So it's a different, the same data. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for answer. I don't have any more questions. Yeah.
Okay. I think right. Okay. Any question? Sahid, do you have question? You were asking us. Okay, Ahmad.
Hi, I'm not sure if the questions already was answered, but is it allowed to scrape more data like from Twitter and use it like for pre-training or something like that, or is not allowed to?
Yeah, Najma, I think one can do any data available on the internet, right? Miriam?
Okay.
Yeah. I think one can use any data available on the internet to, it's not, okay, so shared tasks can be somehow restricted and can be like open to, so this is not that restricted. You can use any available data.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but make sure like you release whatever you have used for the system later.
Yes. So later after the competition, you need to release so that we know like what you use to get your system. For example, when you write your system description paper, yeah. Yes, Edgio?
Yeah, hi. I just came to the competition, so maybe it's spelled out, but are any of the data sets translations of another? or are all different original tweets?
No, there is no any translation in the data. They are all Twitter data sets scratched from, yeah, scratch. We haven't translated any.
No, thank you.
Yes, Sophie.
Yes, first again, and so I'm also I also asked in the Google group. So for the multilingual task, so theoretically we can just use like multiple monolingual model to predict each the data from each language and then concatenate them together. So at the multilingual submission, that's also allowed in this task. So
I'm not sure if I got the question. Anybody? Miriam, Najma, Said?
yeah, so maybe I can repeat.
Yeah, I think I understood. Yeah, I understand the question. So you mean like predicting individual for each individual language and then concatenating and submitting under task B? Yeah, I think you can do that. It's all, I think the competition is non-restrictive. So most of ideas, if you think they are like will give you very good result, you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's non-restrictive.
Yeah. But also, the test set that will give you, the test set, there is no level. So the model should be able beforehand, be able to understand what it says. So what we give in the test set is only, ID and the text. There is no way, at the back end, so there is no way like, we'll not give you like, this is this language. So it's really, I think, to train your system to know which language is which before you go to the test set. Yeah.
Yeah, but previously you mentioned that so the task A test data is the same with.
Oh yeah. For the training and for the training, okay. For task A, we have languages, and now we concatenate them to give us task B, right?
Yeah, right.
So you
and
by
for
that
the test.
Yeah, so by that, you are, sorry for cutting your foot. By that, for task B, you already know that the data comes from task A. Now, what I'm saying is in the test set, we will only give IDs and the levels and the text, and they are, maybe you see Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, they are just, there is no way to understand which is which.
Yeah, okay. I see, understand. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think one thing to note here also is in the multilingual task, which is task B, I think it does it cover all of the languages? I think there is 1 or 2 languages that we may not have put in it, because when releasing the data, as you saw from our updates in the overview, some of the data we are not released the same as others. So I think there was a point where we stopped adding more languages to the multilingual, if I'm not mistaken, I think. So if you are doing this, let's say predicting on the monolingual data and then mixing them up to give you the multilingual submission, you might have to be careful to be tracking the length of the 2 files. So if you finish your own creation, try to like track the length. But also another thing that may not work for you is we've changed the labels. Shamsuddin, is it? So in the multilingual, I think we put new labels multilingual. So you may also have to recreate the IDs if you want to do this. So it's like a long process to do. So but if you want to like try it, like yeah, it's non-restricted.
No. Yeah. The only thing is one can do exact match between the test column of these tags and this to match with the ID. So it's something idea. Yeah. So let's go to Benjamin. Yeah. Thank you, Sophie.
Hi. I noticed in the repo that there was a sentiment lexicon available. It was manually created, and you had automatically created translations for the other language, but it said coming next to it in the README. Is that coming up? Should we expect it to be added to the repo later? And a side question is there any other additional resource that will eventually be added to the repository as well?
Okay, good question. Najma, do you have lexicon for Algerian? I think
I can actually put it on the GitHub.
Okay. So
Next week would work.
Okay, so yes, of course, some other languages, the one we had right now, they are manually annotated. So we intended to add the translated one. Yes, of course, I think before in the coming week, we'll add the translated ones to the GitHub repo.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, Ted.
Yes, hi, thank you. I'm just wondering if you could say a little bit more about the creation of the data, and if, I guess, if all or most of the languages were went through a kind of the same or similar sort of filtering, if there was filtering, like if if a tweet has a URL or an image or some other thing that might make you not include it, what those kind of criteria might be, and if those were applied across the languages.
Right. So that's a good question, Ted. This is something that one of our collaborators encourage us to put. So if we look at the data, all these languages, for example, we started with a few languages, Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo, and Amharic, we already have them, but now the other one we created them. So if we have a paper here in AfriSenti, which basically, the offshoot of this project, we details, you can see the paper in AfriSenti, we details the, process. So for example, we basically collect tweet from Twitter, we do basic pre-processing, to remove stuff like, hashtag and other stuff. You can read details about the processes, but we are doing, one thing that will release a dataset paper for this shared task purposely. So what the dataset paper looks like. So the dataset paper will details all the details about the data, the collection process, the filtering and every other thing, the number, the statistic about the data. So the dataset paper will be coming before the participants start writing their system description paper. The dataset paper will be available. Yeah.
Another thing that I would add is the fact that we'll be also sharing the guidelines, because we actually did discuss this, and we'll discuss also how we actually ended up collecting this data and how we updated the search keywords and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for example, most of the languages we collected, one of the key blocker for African languages, even in Twitter. So Twitter basically support 70 languages, I think, and their API only support one African language, which is Amharic. So it's difficult to collect tweet for African language. For example, if you want to collect tweet for English in Twitter, you just said, and say, give me tweet in English. But in African languages, you can't do that. So we use different kind of heuristic approaches. Sometimes we use like, stop word. So we get a list of stop word and now send them to Twitter, and okay, all the any tweet that contain this kind of stop word in this country, for example, in our country, then it returns, then it is probably one of those languages in our country. So it's a bit, difficult to collect the tweet in African languages, as we don't have support for API, which is unfortunate. Yeah, so this is one of the criteria. And as again, we also do, for collection sometimes, because for us to optimize going for annotation that we have sentiment, tweet that somehow opinionated, we curate a list of lexicons. So for example, the first thing we did in Hausa, and we translate high resource like sentiment lexicons. Then we throw this lexicon positive and negative to Twitter, and now return all tweet that contain those kind of lexicon because they are positive or negative. We don't want to go to annotation. It turns out that after annotating, the whole data is somehow all neutral. So we do a lot of stuff to make sure that we collect tweet that one, they represent the language. Number two, they contain like equal distribution, whether they are positive, negative. So we collect tweet from news handles that are somehow neutral. Yeah, Nejma.
Yeah, I'll add up something about the fact that we actually flagged the offensive tweets and we did not keep them in the data set, because there were some of these basically our annotators, whenever they found like something that was offensive or something, they would flag it. So we had only negative, positive, and neutral. And the other thing, in the case of Algerian Arabic, for example, you actually need native speakers to distinguish between the different the different darijas or Arabic variations, especially in the North African region. And
I'm sorry, this is for the Nigerian Arabic, or which language you are?
Algerian Arabic.
Algerian Arabic. Okay.
Algerian Arabic.
What about the Moroccan Arabic? We also need native speakers.
Yeah, the people who collected the Moroccan data set are also native speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And the annotators are also native speakers. So this was also something that we did emphasize, and we did make sure that we had that. And we went with specific words, and whenever we found something that was not really, say like, I don't know, like a generic word that would lead us to something that is in MSA or in other dialects, we did not keep it in the data set. So that was precision.
Yeah, I think just to add something on this, so we try to like streamline to have a similar approach, but it will not be exactly the same. So as Samshadin mentioned, for example, for Amharic and Tigrinya, we can easily access the data set with the API. For other languages, we have to use keywords and lexicon. And also for the lexicon generation, sometimes we use translation from one language to another, and sometimes we have to ask people. So I think the dataset paper will make it clear, but we try to be like as much as possible to use a similar approach, but it will not be exactly the same. You imagine it's 18 languages, and it will be difficult to follow the same strategy. Sometimes we don't have enough tweets. For example, for Oromo, it was really very tough to get enough tweet. So yes, our approaches sometimes will be deviate a little bit.
So the dataset paper will be interesting to, explain all the approaches. Yeah. Okay, Sana.
Sorry. Yeah. My question about the paper submission. So all of the team, they have the opportunity to submit papers, or only the teams that get good results? Or
Oh yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons, like, we felt people that make a submission and they see like they have when the ledger board is open and someone sees like I have low point, I mean my submission does not have, it's not on par with other people. So let's assume like I made a submission and I have 0.6 and somebody has 0.10. So I'll feel discouraged to write a system discussion paper. But we are not after that. We want to anybody, as we said, like we want to encourage people to get into the research, to solve. So even if you don't have a good, result, we encourage anyone to write a system description paper.
Yeah, actually, my question is that sometimes it's not only good to publish the good result, it's also good to publish bad result. What doesn't work, not only what is the best thing that works. Yeah. So this will also like a motivation, even if even if someone didn't get a good result, but they will still have opportunity to write papers.
Yeah. So
yeah, if I may talk, yeah, this idea of good or bad result. So this is even part of the reason why we didn't put in the leaderboard, so that a person will not even know what is good result or bad result. And most of the competition, I think even on the leagues that we put in will include many African students or many African researchers that may not have any experience in this. So they don't even know whether their system is that good or that bad. They may not get discouraged with this. So by writing the submission paper and then reading other people's work, I think by even the participation in the competition, our aim is for them to learn. Our aim is for them to get used to this type of tasks, so that maybe in our next iteration, maybe the people that may participate will have followed this and learned a lot, that maybe they will submit something better. So we don't know whether people will even start thinking whether their result is good or what, because they've not seen other people's results. So
yeah. My question was, I thought maybe the you guys, the organizer themselves, they don't want papers with hard
No.
results. That was my question originally. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So also like,
Hello.
yes, go on.
Yeah, thank you very much. My own concern is that with the competition trying to winding up or about to wind up, I can still see that there are about 3 data sets that are yet to be released.
Okay, good question. So we are very,
I'm sorry, but can you repeat the question? I didn't get it.
Okay, his question is some data sets are yet to be released. So we have data sets from South Africa, I think 3 data sets that are in task A. That is why we removed them from task B. We did everything possible to get the data and, to get started, but they have some issue. Last we discussed with them, they say they are transferring the data after annotation to another server so that they can get. So hopefully before end of next week, we hope the data will be ready for those languages. Yeah. But we believe also, like when you train your system, on these other languages, because these African languages, they can easily transfer and every other thing, they can hopefully work on also on those languages. But at the end of the day, if, for example, we have like end of December, the data is not released, we will completely remove them from the task. And also, I think in January, in February, Savashia, Ruda, and Najma will have a session on how to write task system description paper. So Najma, you and Savashia, you say you would do that, right?
Yeah, happy to do that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So yeah, I think if I may comment with regards to the field submission, I've been answering some of the questions that were raised by the participants, and most of what I learned from them is either when doing the generation, the length of the tweets do not match the length of the
It is okay, Ahmad. Maybe before it just comes back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry. So I just received a call. So sometimes there was a generation whereby the last tweet of each submission was missed. So the last entry was missed. So it took us a long time to even start comparing what went wrong, because the labeling and everything was right. So I had to start like I inspect the first tweet and then the last tweet, and then I saw the ID that we gave, it was short by 1. So I have to start searching through what went missing. So first, what you have to do is first make sure that you are submitting a file that have a prediction underscore the language that you are submitting to, because our scoring system is only one for the languages, and it determines which file you are submitting by reading that language code. And I think the language codes that we used are already on the Coda Lab website. Then secondly, make sure the number of tweets match the number of tweets that are in the development set. And then thirdly, don't change the IDs, because the IDs also get matched to determine whether what you are submitting is right or wrong. And the last one, the headers. The headers have the label and then the ID. So in whichever way you put it, either all caps or all on the small caps or whatever, because yeah, so we match the label column and then the ID column, and then we also match the number of columns that you submit. So it should be 2 columns, the ID column and then the label. Those should just be the things that you note. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ahmad.
I'm just I just wanted to ask about the specifics of the paper. Is it like it should be like a short paper or a long paper, like a 4 or 8 pages, or there's no specifics?
Najma, Sayed, submit.
There will be actually a format to follow and all that, and we'll actually guide you through that.
Okay.
Also, if you come to the page, we have what we call paper submission requirement. guidelines for writing paper, paper style, all this information have been, available through the SEMABLE website. So you see, paper submission requirement, the specific, everything, the LaTeX file, can be up to 5 pages, So yeah, so that's, you can get more information, but we will have a session, as I made mention, where Nejimak will go through and explain the, help people know how they can write the paper.
But it's usually at least 4 pages.
Okay, 4 pages. Okay, cool. Right. Ahmad Wali.
Oh yeah. Good afternoon. Good evening. My question is kind of a bit unrelated to this. When we make our models and we do the validation on our own, and we get like very good results, but whenever we make the submissions, it turns out we get a drop of about sometimes 13 to 15% drop. And like on the leaderboard when we do the submissions. Like, is there any is there an idea about what causes that?
You're saying like you do train on your training data, make some kind of test set, and when you evaluate and now send to the Coder Lab, you get performance drop. So because like you are doing on unseen data, if your models is good enough, you have very good model, it will be able to generalize on other unseen data that we have from Coder Lab. So that's the challenge now. We want to, that is in fact the challenge. You will see performance drop not the same as you have on your training data you have when you do the split, but when you send it there, that's where we want you to push you to have a system that can match and has a good performance. I don't know if anyone can add on this question.
Yeah, what I mean is like we test it on unseen data too. Like we create a validation set that is not the training data. So when we do like a validation test on it, we get a good performance.
Yeah, I understand what you are saying. So for example, on the training data we provide, you can take some as a training and some as a test set, right? Or whatsoever, and you have a good system. And now you want to evaluate on our data set evaluation data, and this is the performance you get from these samples you had is different from that we have from the evaluation set. Is that correct? What do you mean?
Yes, yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so that's what I say, like, that is a challenge. We will release in anyway.
Yeah, I think even Dr. This is like and get the same performance on 2 different test sets. So one of to do you make sure you do is you report and then you do on the performance on a particular result. So your on a particular test, the performance by even common reasoning will never test set. You may be very like lucky. Sometimes you get even a bad performance. Performance improves, but it's not even possible to get the same performance on.
Okay, anyone wants to add something?
If you actually can add to that, I think one thing to keep in mind is that these are super low resource languages, and that the dev data and the train data is still small in comparison to English. So the performance that you generally, or the behavior that you have in English and other languages is not necessarily going to be the same in this specific case. And this is part of the challenge itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing also that I would like to add up on what Miriam said, which is very important, is that sometimes the tools that you expect to work on English data, for example, let's say language identification or something, or high resource languages, would not work in this kind of languages. So that's also something that you need to keep in mind.
All right. I think we exhaust all the questions. So if there is no question, I think we will round off here. And thank you all for joining. And if you have any more questions, please shoot the question via the email or in the Slack. We are there. We can respond to your question. And yeah, thank you all. Anyone wants a final remark?
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you all, and see you in the Slack if you.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
bye. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye-bye. Thank you.
Yes,
Bye bye.
guys. Bye.
Bismillah.